Thank you so much for joining me in this portion of our gratitude practice. Great time to add a little layer because we won't be creating heat like we have been. I want to share with you a meditation that's been around for a really long time. It's practiced in a lot of different ways. So I'm telling you this to give you the freedom to notice what words in this meditation really sync with you. Um, so the loving kindness meditation, the language that I frequently have heard with it is may you be happy, or may I be happy, may you be physically happy, emotionally happy, etc. And I find I don't love that word because it feels to me a little superficial, a little kind of time sensitive to just like, well, what's happening right now? Are my needs being fulfilled? Did I get what I wanted? So I think the word contentment, which in yoga is santosha in Sanskrit, contentment is a much more powerful word. I think it denotes a deeper, more abiding gratification and sense of well-being. So, the first part of our practice, being really physical and getting stuff moving, is designed to just help our body be open enough, be a conduit to even have space for our gratitude, our joy, our contentment, whatever it might be. This part to me is very much about noticing what thought forms affect us and how they affect us and what words are poignant. So again, I want to empower you to pick the ones that feel great to you, make any changes. In loving kindness meditation, we do it 3 times. And in the first cycle, I'm going to be saying the prayer, if you will, towards myself, offering myself those gifts. In the second cycle, I'm offering it to someone who is important to me, someone near and dear, someone for whom maybe I have concern, maybe they're going through a hard time. The last version around is often offered up to someone with whom we may have some difficulty. Either someone we're full on not even in contact with anymore, or someone who maybe we know we're going to see at a holiday event. Maybe we're even feeling a little anxiety about it. Maybe we have all these thought forms that return of memories of times past where we had harsh words with this person, or they just irritated us, or what have you. I don't mean to assume, by the way, that everybody has some strife and struggle at the holidays, but I think the majority of people do. They've got something, and it might be little, it might be a big deal. Either way, I hope you'll enjoy using this loving kindness meditation as a way to move through kind of stuck spaces, to feel powerful in your energy versus compressed, which is often what happens if we're irritated, scared, etc. So again, please find a position with a long spine. You could be, again, seated on a chair or ottoman. You do not need to be in a cross-legged position on the floor. If you are, please make sure that you have enough support under the hips. I've got a little blanket here to make sure that my spine is straight and that I'm not curved back like that. You might have incense, music, a little candle going. Take time to love yourself well enough to cultivate space that is nourishing, especially when you're doing any kind of spiritual work. Let's close the eyes and once again turn in towards this amazing landscape that is here all the time, but mostly our attention is outward. Witnessing the breath wave rising and settling. So I'll be offering these words, and you can simply repeat them in your mind or out loud as you prefer, after I've said them. May I be contented. May I be physically happy and contented. May I be mentally, emotionally contented. May I have ease of being. Breathe and let those words move through you. I think it's useful to notice any reaction you have to the words. When you say, may I be emotionally contented or physically contented, does some part of your being raise its voice and say, hey, I don't know how, or hey, that's hard. That's okay, just notice. And of course, you might have noticed that the word happy slid in there on me because that's how I practiced this meditation for so many years. Again, please choose the words that do work for you. I'm going to repeat that one to self. Sometimes that's the hardest for us. As you're ready. May I be contented. May I be physically contented. May I be emotionally and spiritually contented. May I have ease of being. Again, breathing, letting that register and move through your system. And now holding someone in our mind's eye who we'd like to offer this loving kindness meditation as a gift, a form of support. May you be contented. May you be physically contented. May you be mentally and emotionally, spiritually contented. May you have ease of being. Perhaps notice how powerful it feels to be able to offer this from a distance, not speaking it to the person directly, but just sending it with all of your love. And then imagining someone in your mind's eye, perhaps for whom it's difficult for you, to send them loving kindness, noticing what it feels like to just even think about that. And if nobody comes to mind with someone with whom you have some difficulty or kind of dregs of emotions kind of lingering around, you could simply also choose perhaps a larger group of people in the world for whom you've been concerned. Maybe you want to offer it up to all of society, all the ways that we are difficult with each other, and you're wishing for more contentment. As you're ready, holding that in your mind's eye and offering it up. May you be contented. May you be physically contented. May you be mentally, emotionally, spiritually contented. May you have ease of being. And so in my last round there, was imagining, all these conflicting forces out in society, politically and otherwise. And what would it be like if they all felt a sense of contentment and kind of non-conflict? What would that be like to live in that society? What we know is that imagining is really profound. So allowing ourselves to feel and imagine in our mind and our body what more contentment feels like for us for others, for the world that we're living in, is powerful, if nothing else, at the very least, which is a big thing, in our cellular self. So every thought matters. So I offer this up as you move, again, perhaps into your Thanksgiving holiday specifically, that I prepared this practice for. Um, Anytime that you're with others and you're feeling kind of judgy or again irritated, it doesn't have to be big, just little. Notice that that thought form is there, and what does it feel like in your body? And if you can transition it, be powerful, be the magician, and transition it to something that makes you smile a little bit. Maybe it's something even a little bit funny. Um, maybe you come up with kind of a funny name for that quality and that person in your own mind. You go, oh, there's that character. Here we go. And it just softens perhaps the stiffness within yourself, that kind of contraction. So circling again to this idea that if what we truly desire is to feel as much contentment, gratitude, joy as possible, we must create adequate space. I'd like to return to a quote that I've offered up a lot in my decluttering classes and sessions, but I think is really appropriate in this particular practice of yoga. And it's by a gentleman named Dwayne Elgin, and he writes a lot about simplicity and simple living. And the quote essentially is, when we live with either too much or too little, we diminish our potential. And this is a fun thing to wrap our head around, is that if we're not full of joy and contentment and goodness, it may not be so much that there's something new that we need to add, a physical thing or a commitment or even a thought form. It may be that there's the old that we need to dig up and clear out and say goodbye to and process in some way. So again, it could be a thought form. Maybe it's a way of being with somebody that you've known a long time. Maybe it's a way of looking at yourself. Maybe it's just too much physical stuff, so that when you do have people over, it's just really frustrating and irritating because there's nowhere to put anybody's coat or welcome them in with their bottle of wine or their dish to offer. So I'm just giving examples, of course, of holiday, but this is the stuff of life. Too much or too little can diminish our potential. And I'm hoping this might inspire you to launch into even some true-on physical decluttering in this season when we have to turn inward. There's less perhaps to do outside. I thank you so much for joining me for this loving kindness meditation and all the thought forms that spring from it. I hope you feel marvelous throughout this season, and particularly this holiday. And I hope you remember that you can return to this meditation and move through it quite quickly, right? If you're simply not talking about it, but doing step 1, step 2, step 3 in your own language, it can go quite quickly. And you can even do it as you're driving along the road, for example. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to be with you. Om Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace. Namaste. I'm going to invite you to close with me in 3 Oms. And the sound of them does not always come across terribly well on the audio and the recording, but I will be oming and inviting you to just really emphasize the part of the om. That vibration actually helps create more space in our body. It helps kind of rejigger our vagus nerve. So very, very powerful. As you're ready, inhaling long spine. Exhaling om. Blessings to you and yours. I hope to see you again soon at the mat.